Following the end of the 1000-year Blood War arc, one moment had Bleach fans more frustrated than any other. Ichigo activates his true Bankai for the first time in chapter 678, and within the turn of a single page, Yhwach ends up destroying it. This was following years of build-up, seeing everything that Ichigo endured in the royal palace, where he learns the truth about his heritage and he finally obtains his true Zanpakuto. We all wanted to see what Ichigo's Bankai could do, and most people look at the ending of Bleach and think that Kubo fumbled the 1000-year Blood War arc. It's hard not to see it as rushed writing and a missed opportunity. Now in this video, I'm going to explain why Ichigo's Bankai breaking was actually one of the most important moments in the entire fight against Yhwach. Something that people overlook is that Yhwach had absolutely no choice other than to destroy this Bankai immediately. I'll also be explaining why ironically his decision to break Ichigo's true Bankai is exactly the reason that he lost. There is quite a lot to dive into within this video, including the Horn of Salvation form that preceded the Bankai activation. We also have new details revealed from Kubo's fan club Club Outside, where he talks about Zangetsu's actual structure. But yeah, I should tell you who's not afraid of Ichigo's true Bankai: all of the people who subscribe and watch the content on this channel. Only 20% of the people who watch my content are subscribed to the channel. If you want to be the first to know when I upload new content, then subscribe and hit the bell notification. Now before we get into why Ichigo's Bankai had to break, we need to discuss the form Ichigo was using when he activated it. The Horn of Salvation form debuts within chapter 675. What a lot of people don't realize is that Yhwach's fear wasn't just about Ichigo's Bankai, it was about what the Bankai would do when combined with this Horn of Salvation transformation. After Ichigo's Zanpakuto was reforged within the royal palace, his jewel blades represented his powers in perfect equilibrium. The larger blade embodied his Shinigami and Hollow powers fused together. The smaller blade represented Old Man Zangetsu, the manifestation of his Quincy powers. Now all of these powers for the first time ever existed in equilibrium. But Ichigo figured out that he could deliberately disrupt this balance in order to achieve something new. In chapter 675, while he fights Yhwach, Ichigo says there's something that he wants to wake up, his inner hollow. By surging large amounts of Quincy spiritual pressure through his body, he tips the scales and forces his inner hollow to emerge. But here's what makes this different from the Vaster Lorde transformation against Ulquiorra. In this Horn of Salvation form, Ichigo stays completely in control. His larger Zangetsu blade turns white. Black stripes spread across his shoulder, chest, and the left side of his face. The whites of his eyes turn black with a yellow iris, and that horn grows from the left side of his head. This is Ichigo at his most complete. It's a perfect fusion of Shinigami, Hollow, and Quincy that is functioning in harmony. He even reassures Orihime with a smile that he is still himself, because she still has trauma from the Vaster Lorde transformation. Yhwach's reaction tells us everything. He calls Ichigo's appearance magnificent, and he immediately recognizes the threat level has changed. Ichigo starts demonstrating abilities that we've never seen before. He combines a Gran Ray Sero with his Getsuga Tensho, using his blood as a catalyst, as he fires a devastating hybrid attack that actually wounds Yhwach. His speed jumps dramatically. His spiritual pressure destroys Silburn, the Vandenreich's floating fortress. But Yhwach still hasn't activated the Almighty yet, because he's testing Ichigo out, taking the measure of his new form. It's only when Ichigo declares that he knows all about despair and has overcome it time and time again, when he proceeds to place his short blade on top of his long blade and activates his true Bankai while still in the Horn of Salvation form. Now this is immediately when Yhwach acts with genuine urgency. During the course of the 1000-year Blood War arc, Yhwach demonstrated an almost bored confidence when he was facing other Bankai. Against Yamamoto, he allowed the head captain to fully activate Zankai no Tachi. He witnessed the flames consume the battlefield as Yamamoto exhausted all of his techniques. He then appears, revealing that Yamamoto had been fighting a doppelganger as he casually steals Zankai no Tachi. During his fight with Ichibei, Yhwach engaged in extended combat and even allowed himself to be hit by several techniques before revealing the Almighty. Ichigo gets none of this treatment. From their very first encounter in the Serete, Hashward immediately breaks Tensa Zangetsu in chapter 515. When Ichigo returns with his true dual-bladed Shikai, Yhwach constantly pressures him during during their confrontation in the royal palace, never giving him room to breathe. The moment Ichigo activates his Bankai, placing those dual blades together as they merge into a single large weapon with a black inner blade encased in a white outer shell, Yhwach reaches through the future and shatters Ichigo's Bankai with his bare hand. Before the activation even fully completes, he calls Tensa Zangetsu fearsome and explains he could use the future to break it. The Almighty lets Yhwach observe all possible futures at the same time. He describes it being like countless grains of sand that are scattered from the present moment. And within a few of those grains of sand, which represent futures, there are some where Ichigo's Bankai remained intact. Yhwach saw outcomes that concerned him enough to treat this blade differently than every other in the series. He immediately snaps off Ichigo's horn from his Horn of Salvation form 2 and throws it back at him. So he didn't just break the Zanpakuto, he dismantled every aspect of Ichigo's power-up that he had demonstrated. He got rid of the true Bankai as well as the Horn of Salvation form. Yhwach continues attacking despite Orihime's Santen Keshun shields, revealing that the Almighty allows him to not only see the future but transform it. He can select outcomes and make them reality. He then tells Ichigo he has only been able to overcome despair and change his fate until now because Yhwach wasn't present. Now that Yhwach stands before him with the Almighty active, any future Ichigo tries to create will be cut down before it can exist. Over chapters 678 through to 680, Ichigo's mindset and transformation begin to revert. The darkness in his eye recedes, the black markings on his body fade, and by chapter 680, Yhwach has completely drained Ichigo's Quincy powers and the hollow powers attached to them. Black veins spread across Ichigo's body as he realizes what's happening. His inherited abilities are being stolen from him. Yhwach laughs maniacally as he opens a portal to descend down to the Soul Society as he proclaims victory. It seems as though Ichigo has been reduced to nothing. In chapter 672, we see a piece of foreshadowing that a lot of people don't fully appreciate until the end of the series. Yhwach falls asleep on his throne within Vaharvelt and experiences what he dismisses as a nightmare. He sees Ichigo appearing suddenly and splitting him in half. The critical detail is Ichigo is wearing his old Shihakusho from the Soul Society arc. He's also wielding the original oversized Zanpakuto Zangetsu, not his dual-bladed true Shikai. Yhwach wakes at daybreak, laughs and remarks that the dream was wonderful to the point of being nightmarish, then he dismisses it entirely. Here's the thing about the Almighty. During the night, it transfers to Hashward. Yhwach cannot use his future sight while asleep, which means that the vision arrived through a different channel. It's theorized Hashward intentionally sent the vision to Yhwach knowing that he would dismiss it. The Can't-Fear on-world light novels actually hint at this. When Lil Barrow questions what Hashward saw during his time with the Almighty, a female Quincy reveals that Hashward muttered about the ability to see the future being unfair. This hints at Hashward knowing that he was going to be betrayed by Yhwach. Then it's most likely that Hashward sent that vision to Yhwach while he was asleep as a warning, and Yhwach dismissed it as a dream. Whether if Hashward acted out of betrayal or genuine loyalty, it doesn't change the outcome. Yhwach's arrogance prevented him from recognizing the vision as a genuine prophecy. He became so confident in his ability to select and rewrite futures that he couldn't imagine one that he didn't account for. The image of Ichigo in his old clothing with the oversized Zangetsu seems laughable. Yhwach dismissing this vision was a major mistake. He only realized this moments before his death, but by that point his fate was already sealed. Over on Kubo's official fan club, Club Outside, someone had asked him why did Zangetsu return to a single blade during the No Breeds from Hell one-shot chapter instead of its dual-bladed state that we see at the end of Bleach. Kubo's answer revealed something that nobody anticipated. He states that the dual Zangetsu function as a blade and a scabbard. According to Kubo, a proper Zanpakuto comprises of two components, the blade itself and its its scabbard. Only 2 Zanpakuto exist without scabbards. These are Sayafushi, the blade of Uetsu Nimaya, and Zangetsu. The dual-bladed state of Zangetsu which Ichigo received after his training was actually Zangetsu in its correct form, with the longer blade serving as the scabbard and the shorter blade as the actual weapon. When Ichigo activates his true Bankai, he places the short blade on top of the long blade, merging them. The resulting Tensa Zangetsu has a black inner core surrounded by a white outer shell. The white portion is the scabbard, the black portion is the true blade. This explains everything about what happens in the final confrontation with Yhwach. When Yhwach attempts to destroy Ichigo's Bankai a second time in chapter 684, he succeeds only in shattering the white outer casing. This is the scabbard portion, representing Ichigo's Quincy powers. But what emerges from underneath is the black blade, matching Ichigo's original Shikai appearance, the form of Ichigo's weapon from Yhwach's nightmare that he dismissed. Kubo also confirmed the shattered scabbard was reabsorbed into Ichigo, meaning he retains all of his powers and he can manifest either the dual-bladed or single-bladed form at will. We see him wielding the single blade during the Hell Arc one-shot, which suggests that he prefers this form for now. Most fans probably haven't heard of Bleach Chapter 0. This was published at the end of volume 23 of the manga. It's an official prequel following Ichigo's daily life before he met Rukia, and it ends with a poem that defines his character more clearly than anything else within the series. The poem describes Ichigo witnessing spirits that he tries to help disappearing without warning, leaving behind only spots of blood that only he can see. Despite his ability to perceive and interact with these spirits, he cannot protect them from being devoured by hollows or simply vanishing. The poem speaks of the world changing with each rotation of the sun and the moon, taking new shapes while the only constant is Ichigo's powerlessness. Then the crucial verse appears. If fate is a gear and we are the sand that falls between those gears, then there is nothing that we can do. So I wish for strength. If I cannot protect them from the grinding gears of fate, then give me a strong blade and enough strength to shatter fate. Ichigo's entire journey through Bleach has been defined by defying predetermined outcomes, saving Rukia when the Gote 13 demanded her execution, defeating Aizen when victory seemed impossible, recovering his powers after he lost them and had them stolen from him. Every impossible obstacle, crushing defeat or moment of despair, Ichigo is able to cut through all of them. The Almighty is the physical manifestation of fate itself. Yhwach doesn't just observe the future. Like I've mentioned, he selects which future becomes reality and rewrites any outcome that doesn't favor him. He openly states this during their battle, that Ichigo has only overcome his despair until now because Yhwach wasn't present to dictate fate directly, and yet Ichigo kills him anyway. When Tsukishima stabs Ichigo with the Book of the End in chapter 681, he alters the past so that Tensa Zangetsu was never broken by Yhwach. This allows Orihime's Sonten Kishun to restore the blade to its original state, including the Quincy and Hollow powers that Yhwach had absorbed. Ichigo then stands with his full Bankai restored. Together with Renji, they pursue Yhwach through the portal to the Soul Society. When they attack, Yhwach repels them and claims to have already foreseen this, including having Ichigo's Bankai broken once more, but this time Tensa Zangetsu only cracks instead of shattering completely. Yhwach notes Ichigo possesses a great deal of good fortune. Aizen enters the fray using Kyoka disguising himself as Ichigo while the real Ichigo impales Yhwach from behind. He unleashes a golden Getsugar Tensho powerful enough to cut Yhwach in half. The attack actually kills Yuha, but the Almighty allows him to rewrite even his own death as he reforms from a massive darkness. But then out of nowhere, Uryu fires the still silver arrowhead. The silver of stillness is a clot that forms within the hearts of victims of Ashwaulen. When this arrowhead pierces Yhwach's heart, it momentarily nullifies the Almighty's future manipulation, but it's only for a brief window. Ichigo takes advantage of this as he charges forward with his cracked Bankai, Yhwach reaches out in an attempt to shatter Tensa Zangetsu like he had done before, but he succeeds in only breaking the outer shell. Beneath it lies the black original Shikai of Zangetsu. As he realizes to himself this is what Hashward was trying to warn him about. The blade that shouldn't exist by any logical timeline is the blade that ends up killing him. The true Tensa Zangetsu apparently possesses some ability that defeats Yhwach across the futures that he can perceive. We never get explicit confirmation of what this power actually is. Kubo's acknowledged this remains one of Bleach's lingering mysteries. The main theory, supported by a lot of evidence throughout Bleach, is that Ichigo's Bankai grants him the power to reject or shatter fate itself. This is a direct counter to the Almighty. While Yhwach selects and rewrites futures according to his will, Ichigo's blade would create outcomes outside of the predetermined possibilities entirely. Orihime's Shunshin Rika provides a template for this kind of power. Her abilities reject phenomena, reversing injuries and restoring destroyed objects by denying the events that cause their destruction. If Ichigo's true Bankai operates on similar principles but applied to causality rather than physical phenomena, then it makes perfect sense as to why Yhwach had to break Ichigo's Bankai in every single timeline. No amount of future manipulation is going to help you against an opponent that can simply cut through whatever fate that Yhwach selects. The Almighty becomes meaningless, and the Horn of Salvation compounded this threat, as Ichigo in his merged hollow form already demonstrated power sufficient to wound Yhwach before the Almighty was active. Combine this with a truly broken Bankai ability to manipulate fate, then you understand why Yhwach couldn't afford to see this combination in action. The instant that Ichigo's dual Shikai merged into its Bankai, this is when the blade had to break. This then links back to Chapter 0's poem, as Ichigo has an answer to his request in Chapter 684. He asked for a blade strong enough to shatter fate, and it seems as though his wish was granted. The conclusion of the 1000-year Blood War arc within the manga had a lot of issues. The reveal of Ichigo's all-new abilities, including the Horn of Salvation form and even his true Bankai, did desperately need more screen time. Ichigo only had a handful of chapters to showcase the extent of his new form and abilities. While Kubo did great to still convey to us that Yhwach couldn't afford to fight Ichigo's true Bankai within the narrative, it all still felt very anticlimactic and it's in desperate need of extra padding. Thankfully, the 1000-year Blood War arc has been fixing a lot of issues from the manga. We've had insane amounts of additions through cores 1 to 3, with new dialogue, extended fight sequences, all new flashbacks, and anime original Bankai reveals and fights that were not in the manga. The Zero Division also got transformed from a bunch of jobbers into actual threats with proper battles against the Schutzstaffel. Now, Core 4 promises to deliver over 40 chapters worth of anime exclusive content, which means that over 54% of Core 4 is going to be stuff that we've never seen before. Kubo stated that he has spent more time on Core 4 than all previous cores combined, and he has also teased that there's going to be an all-new character appearing within Core 4 that we have never seen before in the manga. So with all of these additions, we might actually see Ichigo activate his true Bankai properly instead of having it instantly destroyed. We might once and for all get an explanation as to what Ichigo's true Bankai power is, and the Horn of Salvation form could finally get the screen time that it deserves. Imagine we get a sequence where Yhwach frantically checks different futures, and the moment that Ichigo's Bankai activates, he sees hundreds, thousands, and millions of possibilities, and in every single one where the blade remains intact, he realizes that he dies. This is where it would be explained that Ichigo's ability is to alter fate or rewrite causality itself. I mean, it would be wild if Ichigo grew 4 pupils in his eyes in order to showcase this new reality warping power, in opposition to Yhwach's 3 irises where he uses the Almighty. This would be some truly incredible visual storytelling, especially since this was foreshadowed when Ichigo walked down the path of Irazu Sando and we saw those 4 pupils in his eyes. series. The groundwork has already been laid out by the anime exclusive scenes that we've seen in calls 1 to 3 and in all of the content that currently exists within the manga. We can see what Kubo was trying to do, and the anime just needs to nail the landing. The ending of Call 4 of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime could easily be one of the greatest in anime history if they execute all of this foreshadowing properly, where Yhwach sees Ichigo in his original Shikai outfit, he dismisses it as nothing but a dream, and then moments before his death he realizes this is the one outcome that he is unable to rewrite because he himself dismissed it. Now, we've reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. Do you agree with my theories about the true power of Ichigo's Bankai? What are your thoughts about why Yhwach had to get rid of this Bankai within the turn of a single page? If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention, then let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.